Hello and welcome to this sellability video. I hope you're doing well. And I thought I'd do a bit of a follow-up to a video I did. It wasn't the previous time, but the time before that, which is all about working with your virtual assistant. And in theory, obviously, this part comes before, actually managing a virtual assistant. It's finding and interviewing a virtual assistant. So if you did find that video interesting, you're thinking, it'd be great to have a virtual assistant, on my side, in my business doing sourcing analysis, whatever it is that you want to task them with doing. And obviously you need a bit of help with sourcing a virtual assistant and knowing the sorts of things that you want to ask and have in place, ready for when that virtual assistant comes aboard, then this video is for you. So firstly, let's start with finding a virtual assistant. Now think about where you want your virtual assistant to be. And this one is quite important, particularly when it comes to communication. And it also depends on your budget as well. Now, there's lots of Amazon sellers out there that will go for virtual assistants that are, say, based in the Philippines because it is, in effect, cheaper for you, but the money that you provide for them is quite good for them. So it's a win-win all around. It's less for you, but it's quite a bit for them, if that makes sense. So, consider the location. As I say, this will affect things like communication. So, maybe your afternoon is their morning or something like that. So therefore, you've got to plan your meetings at a point whereby you're both available, something like that. Just bear that in mind when you are going for, a virtual assistant that is overseas. And in terms of actually finding a virtual assistant, this is quite easy to do, easier than you think. You don't have to go on this super extensive hunt to find one. There's plenty of virtual assistants that are open to doing work here, there, and everywhere. It's as simple as if you were to put an advertisement in any Amazon Facebook group, you will be able to get either pointed in the right direction, or there will be virtual assistants there in the group as well looking for work. And so obviously there'll be interest generated on your post. They'll probably comment and say, hey, please reach out to me, or I've sent you a message, or consider this agency and so forth. So yeah, also consider as well if you want to go through an agency to help you with finding a virtual assistant, because through an agency as well, of course, it depends on the actual nitty-gritty of the agency itself. If a particular virtual assistant doesn't work out, they can help you with sourcing another one as a replacement. Or if you want to go off your own back and hire one yourself, whichever way you want to go. So consider that as well. But as I say, literally just put in a post in a Facebook group, or if you are thinking of hiring a virtual assistant from a particular place, do a bit of research into the sort of job sites that would be available for them in their side of the world. Which ones are the more popular ones? Get something set up on LinkedIn, Indeed maybe, or whatever job site you come across that is more relevant for them where they're based. There's plenty of ways to find virtual assistants. I mean, it sounds like proper common sense, but a Google search can help you massively. But as I say, even just something like posting in a Facebook group, you will get results. Try multiple Facebook groups as well, so that way you get a variety and a number of interviewees. That way you can pick the person that is best suited for you and your business. Now, when it comes to sorting through all of your applications and stuff, obviously, just like with pretty much any job out there, you'll need some form of CV. So you get an idea of who it is that you could potentially be hiring. So you want to know things like their previous experiences, what skills they have, what interests they have, because this will not only help build up a picture of their work profile, but also them as a person too, because you need someone that gels well, more so in a work sense, yes, but you also need them as a person to gel well with you and what you do. So you need someone that has good communication skills, someone that is eager to learn, someone that is open to, improvements, doesn't take feedback in a way whereby, they would argue against it, or there'd be backlash, or, set them off in some kind of like mood whereby they're less productive, So you just want to build up a picture of who they are, and you can get that from a CV. Now, from the CVs that look good to you, interview those candidates, and it might be that you have an initial interview, then you have another one after that, just to build up that picture even more and help you narrow down your list of candidates. Now, in person, you want to be asking them some of the things that you can gauge from the CV, and you might think, why? Because I can gauge this from the application that they've submitted. Well, you'd be surprised at how much you can learn from asking someone a question whereby you can see, their body language. Tone has quite a lot to do with how we interpret things as well. So, their response, how they give the response, and given the format of an interview whereby it is your opportunity to actually speak to each other, they can go in depth with their answers. So, with a CV, they're not going to write you pages and pages about a certain something, but in person, via a video call, they can expand on their points that little bit more. So if we do want to find out something, that's a great place to find that stuff out. So find out about their experience, about their skills, their interests, a little bit about them as a person, because, what I would say a great employee is someone whereby, and I'm not saying that you necessarily would, or it's even possible especially if they're overseas, but someone whereby you'd go, yeah, if it came to it, I'd happily go for a drink with them after work for an hour. That's how I would say is a great way to, judge if someone's going to gel well, whereby you think that after you're done, you go, yeah, you know what, they're a great person. I like them. That you get that feeling. So yeah, that's a great way to judge it. Obviously not just only on that, but of course on their merits, on their skills and so forth. Think about if you want someone that is very experienced or someone that doesn't have loads of experience. Now there's perks to both. Obviously someone with a lot of experience, it can mean less training. It just speaks for itself, the amount of experience and skills that they've picked up because they've done it for however long. The only sort of like downside to that is that there could be potential bad habits. Sometimes you can get it where if they have a lot of experience, they might be very, very, very sure of themselves. And even if it doesn't quite fit well, maybe something they're doing doesn't quite fit well with what you're doing, or they think that they, know better when actually they just need to do whatever it is that you've outlined for them. They might be very sort of like headstrong with that because of the amount of experience that they've had. Untangling some bad habits can be quite tricky to do, of course, depending on what it is. Someone relatively new, of course, you've got to set aside the time for the training and so forth. There could be some mistakes. Obviously, they can learn from those mistakes, particularly if we give good constructive feedback as well. But no bad habits. And there's a lot of room there to sort of like mold them into the kind of virtual assistant that you would ideally want. So it really depends what you're looking for. A lot of experience, or you want to be able to, in a sense, like mold someone to become that perfect virtual assistant for you. So ask all of the questions. So about experience, skills, interests, what their plans are for the future, like where they see themselves in say like 5-10 years time. This will give you a good idea of their sort of like drive, their ambitions and so forth. And as I say, you don't have to decide after one interview. You'll have a number of candidates, maybe set out a couple of interviews. So have an initial one whereby it helps sort of like build a picture of who that virtual assistant is, narrow it down, and then interview again. Maybe you even do a third round. And by that point you should have it down to a couple, if that, and then you can make your decision from there. If there is anyone that does interest you, but you have to choose like one or the other and you end up going for one, it's worth keeping their profile on hand, just remembering them, because it might be that at another point in the future, you're looking to add another virtual assistant to your team. You're ready to do that. You've got their profile on hand, and you know, because you've interviewed them before and stuff, you already have some of those things built up, so you don't have to ask all the same things all over again. You know who they are, they know who you are, and you know, maybe you're both in the same position whereby they're still, you know, looking to you know, change their role. They're open to working for you, and obviously you're looking for another virtual assistant to add to your team. So, you know, it could be quite useful to keep someone's profile on hand if you're interested, if they, you know, are quite a good candidate, but of course you have to choose one or the other. But yeah, hopefully this has given you a bit of an idea of some of the things to look out for with a virtual assistant. Obviously, specify the job role with them, like the specifics of what you would be wanting them to do, you know, any progressional opportunities. Maybe you've got a bonus structure in place, something like that, whereby you would go, hey, you know, I'd usually expect this amount of deals per day, but if you were to find more, this is like a reward for you, this is what you'd get, so that way they're aware of what exactly they're getting into as well, so that way they know, you know, what to expect, because they know what they're doing as well. It means that there is not so much room there for mistakes. So hopefully this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you soon.